We are going to make fun of you, yes.
Okay, cool.
Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Wolf.
And I'm Christopher Hoisington, and we're here with Roger Hodges.
Hodge.
Hodge. I'm sorry.
The second.
Hodge the second.
Yep.
Roger Hodge the second. Boy, I blew that. But he's a second-generation wood burner.
Yes, definitely.
He makes cribbage boards, but let's talk about how you got started in wood burning.
Oh, sure. So, do you want me to talk to that or talk
Yes.
to you guys? Okay. Hi.
Hi. That's just the fourth person over there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's our audience.
Okay, very cool. So, the way I got started in cribbage is back when I left Las Vegas back in 2002, I came back and I learned how to play cribbage. I learned against one of my fraternity brothers who actually, within 2 days, I was down $25 to him. So, we were playing money. We were playing for money, and he taught me the harsh way how to play cribbage. I never learned it when I was growing up.
Now, do they play professionally? I mean, is it in Las Vegas?
Oh, well, they didn't play in Vegas. They probably do it tournaments because there's actually cribbage cruises.
Okay.
Where all you do is take your wife and you go on cruises and you play cribbage in a tournament and things like that. So, but they probably have tournaments down there now.
Okay.
But I never played it when I was there.
Okay.
Played blackjack. Came back, learned how to play cribbage, and when you play against people that steal points from you, it's called muggins. And you don't want to play against those people when you're first learning, because like I said, in 2 days I was down $25, which doesn't seem like a lot, but
When you're poor, $25 is a lot.
it was a lot. It was a lot at that time. Yeah. So it still is a lot. Now that I have a 2.5-year-old, it's a lot of money now.
Absolutely.
So I learned how to play that. A few years later, as I was telling these guys, my fraternity brother gave me a desk that his dad made, and he says, I know you woodwork. I've woodworked for a long time. My dad taught me how to woodwork and do things. So you won't be able to see it on the video there, but so
We'll pick it up.
yeah, okay. So that's the first board I ever did, and my fraternity brother said, "Here's a desk my dad made, and I want you to have it. You tear it up, burn it, we'll do whatever you want." And I was thinking, well, you need to have something to remember your dad making your desk by because it got you through high school and college. And so I made him that board for him and his wife who were in that picture, and then it started into what I do now. So that was in 2007.
So, did somebody see that board and commission you to make a second board, or did you just love it and decide right off the bat that that's what you were gonna do?
Yeah. So I loved it at first, and then all of a sudden I was like, I can put a board on that. I can put a board on that. I found these pieces of wood. I can put a board on that, and I just started doing ones as gifts for people, including my parents and my aunt and uncle. My uncle's actually passed away now, but they still have the board. And just my parents started buying pieces of wood and just saying, hey, can you put a board on this? Can you put a board on this? And then people started presenting me with other objects, and I was like, yeah, I can put a board on that. I can definitely put a board on that. One of my friends actually wanted me to do a video back in 2008, 2009, my Mason brother, and he's like, can you put a board on this? You should do a YouTube video. And his idea, and I never did it, but you should do this video where, can you put a board on this? And go, bam, there's a board, and just show the before and after, kind of stop action, that thing. And then he's like, and then all of a sudden somebody shows you a baby and say, nope, can't do one on a baby. Kind of thing. So, because I can't put it on everything.
I can't put a board on everything.
You can't put it on everything. So.
But he can put cribbage boards on an elk skull.
Elk skull, yeah.
That was okay, so everything that he does is in a series.
Yep.
And that is the first and only skull series.
So far. Yeah.
And then he has the found object series.
And that is the first one in the found object series. We're up into the 30s on found object series.
We're in the 30s.
That's the body of an electric guitar. Or
it's a Telecaster. It's a Fender Telecaster. Yeah.
Okay.
Still playable.
Where'd you find that?
Actually, at a guitar store in Selwood where I used to work over in that area. So, and he gave it to me. It's just, I bought it as that piece. Yeah.
This is another one of the found object series. This is an Oaks Park roller skate. Kid size 13, I guess.
Yep. Took the wheels off and then put the
And this is one of the original
advertisements.
advertisement labels, and very nice.
Yeah. So I've
Very
done them on
nice.
tables and
For
wood
myself,
skis and
cribbage
everything.
is like my grandfather taught me. My grandfather and my uncle used to play a lot, you know, and my mother and my grandmother, and they used to play for like a penny a point or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's how I got my start. It was nickel a point, $1 a game. So $25 in 2 days. You can tell how much.
Wow,
we
you
were doing
really
much
dug
work.
it. Do you still play cribbage, or do you just make the boards?
I spend more time making them than playing because my wife and I have a 2.5-year-old, and so after he goes to bed, I generally do these between 10 at night and 1 in the morning. I've pulled all-nighters doing these because this is where my passion is. So.
Do you lose track of time when you're making them?
Oh yeah, no, very much so. Yeah, and so yeah, and it's very, very therapeutic to me. It's the only thing I have patience for. You know, I don't have patience driving. I don't have patience necessarily during my real career, but this is where I have patience for. I can't wood carve. My dad wood carves, and he does beadwork and pen and ink drawings and scrimshaw. I've tried all those. This is the only thing I have patience for. And it's all wood burned, all with a hand wood burner. There's no laser. I drew all the holes myself.
There's something about the fact that it's it's beautiful to look at, and you could easily hang it on the wall. And a lot of them have fixtures on the back side of them so that
There's
you
a couple
can
over
hang
there,
them.
yeah.
But they're useful as a
I put a board on it. I just saw this.
Yep. So.
that's what
What do you do
I was
with
trying
it?
to get to is it's
Put a board on
it's
it.
got a nostalgia for me, you know, the fact that I played with my grandfather, and I don't hear about people playing very often because it does take time.
It does. Yeah.
And you really do. You have to sit down with somebody and hang out. And I'd show up at my grandfather's house or my uncle's house sometimes, and they'd be sitting in the dining room, and neither one of them would be speaking a word. They'd just be sitting there completely silent. And I'd walk in the room, and they might look at me, they might not, you know. I'd sit down, and it'd just be like, we're silent
Yep.
for like the first 10 minutes that I'm there because they're playing cribbage.
Right. Yep.
So it's got a warm feeling inside me for sure, and that's the thing that got me when I first saw him down at the Big 500, because he made cribbage boards with the 20 by 20 centimeter placards that they gave us to do the show, and I saw one hanging there, and I was like, oh man, that's a cribbage board, you know. And then I realized that he had a whole bunch of other stuff in the People's Art Gallery down there.
Yeah.
Price wise, they're selling the big 500 pieces for $40. I'm sure that's way less than what you would normally sell a board for.
Right. So my price range is $45 up to $400 generally on there, but I do a lot of custom playable heirloom style art, and so I do a lot of custom pieces where somebody says, this is what my family likes, this is what our interests are, and then I put their art on a board. And again, some people are like, oh, I shouldn't play on it, it's too nice. Well, no, I want you to play on it.
Please
I
play.
want you to, use it. I mean, it's
Right, I think the wear and
Yeah.
tear would actually make it more
Oh yeah.
attractive.
Right, there'll be some dents on there and things
Mhm.
like that. A couple of my boards I've had for years, I've played hundreds of games on a couple of my boards over here, and things like that. Me and my friend want to keep, we talk about keeping track, like wood burning on the back, how many, we just lose track of how many games we played.
Yeah.
So we just do that. But I mean, I do a lot just for the love of making things. I do a lot for gifts. I love it when somebody gives me a project and says, my family has played cribbage forever. My grandfather taught me.
Yeah.
And these are 10, 15 interests that we have. Can you put that together? And at one event, one time, I was like, okay, give me 7 ideas. And I said, within a minute, I can put those together in a board. And so I did this quick sketch, and I was able to incorporate everything into a round board.
Do people bring you wood and say, hey, can you make a cribbage board for me out of this?
Sometimes. A lot of times they just say, find a piece and put it on.
Okay.
But a lot of people, actually I have one. It's funny you brought it up. My friend runs Kellogg Bowl in Milwaukee, Oregon, which is where I grew up.
Okay.
And he gave me this piece of wood from his tree in his front yard. And he's like, can you do something with this? We want to have something to remember it by. And so I'm going to put a cribbage board on it with his family name, him and his wife's name, and then all that on there. So,
Wow.
so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's personable art. It's playable art. It's usable art.
So he was telling us about the history of cribbage earlier, and I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
Good.
So in a nutshell, cribbage was created by a guy named Sir John Suckling in the 1600s, and he actually died very poor because he was a compulsive gambler, and he kept changing the rules. It was based loosely on a game that they found in a tomb in Egypt called Hounds and Jackals, and they had this box, and it had palm trees on it, little pegs, which we use in cribbage board today.
Right.
But it had hounds and jackals carved on the top, but it was only to like 20, 25 holes. Sir John Suckling created the game and go to 61 holes, and then in the 1920s the game evolved to 121 holes. So it's a leapfrog game where you keep track of your points with the pegs, but it's using a normal deck of 52 cards.
Okay.
Definitely. So,
which is a great segue. But the now when they found the old Egyptian board, all they had was the pegs and the holes in the board.
yeah, that's it.
And then somebody, wow, that must have been a game. So somebody
Must have been a
started
game.
coming up
Right.
with this idea.
We have no idea
Well, if
really
we take
what
a
it was.
deck of cards and we start goofing around with it, we could make a game, right?
Right. And I said Sir John Suckling, and then he took that deck of cards, and then he started creating this game, but then he kept changing the rules,
Yeah.
and he died poor because he kept losing. So I mean,
So how did everybody, all the cribbage players in the world, get together and say, okay, we all agree that now it's going to be 121 points instead of 60?
right. I'm not sure exactly how they determined that, but it was in the 1920s, and I don't know if people said that game's just too short, or we should make it longer, or whatever. But it's really become the norm.
There must be some kind of an official...
American Cribbage Congress, which is actually in Roseburg, Oregon.
Oh,
actually,
really?
Which is very interesting because I have a subscription to Cribbage World. Imagine that. I'm the Cribbage Man, 2 A's in man. But the Cribbage Man and American Cribbage Congress is printed here in Oregon and all over the world.
Now, when you started, you just